Hey, I'm Matt Koval. You know, when you're single and trying really hard, sometimes logic flies out the window. And that was the case back when I was 23. See, it was about time for me to go visit my family back home. I was going to fly, as I normally did, when a buddy of mine suggested I take the train. I thought, LA to Baltimore on a train? That's 3 days. That's probably the worst idea I've ever heard. He said, fine, but you're going to miss out on all the hot European chicks. Logic. Whew. As my buddy explained, see, that's how people travel in Europe, by train. So when the girls come to the States, they climb aboard, man, by the hundreds. Well, that's about all the logic I needed. I remember walking down the aisle for the first time with my bags, wondering if I was going to maybe sit next to a Swede or a cute French girl for the trip. And in fact, there was a girl in the seat right next to mine, and she smiled right at me. Her name was Miss Loretta, age 72, from Alabama. She may have been the most attractive woman there, just to give you a little perspective. But I stayed positive. I mean, we had 80 stops to make across the entire country. Plenty of time to pick up those hundreds of beautiful Europeans. It was about in Texas that I began to wonder. It was also around then that Miss Loretta's cooler full of sandwich meat began to smell a bit odd. See, she kept it under the seat and ate it breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't know what kind of meat it was, but it had like a ½ inch of fat around the edges, and I remember every time she brought it out, she'd always eat the fat first. She'd kind of peel it off and then dangle it over her lips. You want a sandwich? She was always very generous in offering me a sandwich. I did get up and take walks up and down the train, and the countryside is just beautiful, I'll give them that. But as a young man, I wasn't really there for the countryside. Miss Loretta and I did have a good time. Every night when we'd fall asleep face to face, I remember her she'd tell me wonderful stories of the South. It was in Birmingham when she said goodbye and got off the train with her cooler. By that time, I was desperate for a shower. I dreamt about taking a shower. As we closed in on my home stop in Baltimore, the train car I was in was completely empty. It was like I outlasted everybody in some reality show. That's when, and I kid you not, about 6 girls from this Virginia dance team came aboard. They weren't European, that would have been a better story. They were about 45 hours too late. By that time, I'd been reduced to this crusty weirdo who reeked of baloney. They tried to avoid eye contact with me as I got off the train, and I don't blame them. So, a note to you single guys out there. I think European girls found out about rental cars.